Okay, so I loaded up Skyblock not long ago, and I am shook to my core. Now, a few days ago, well, let's say a few days ago, probably a week ago now, they released an update on the alpha, and it was changes to the museum. And everyone was a little bit unsure about it, I'm not going to lie. But not in my wildest dreams did I think they would actually release it. But they've actually released it, so I don't know what to say at this point. We're just going to take a look through the update. And, yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one. Now, the main focus of the update is the museum hall. There's also the Great Spook improvements, of course, because we're getting close to Halloween. Other changes, bug fixes, and yeah, there's been so many bug fixes recently. I guess that's probably one of the shining lights of the update. However, what this update essentially does is forces you to donate items to your museum, i.e. making them soulbound, and if you don't do that enough, then you're not able to buy certain items off the AH. If you don't have the museum milestone, that allows you to bid a certain amount of money. Very controversial. Let's unpack it. Before we do, at the moment we're actually trying to beat the population of Andorra in subscribers. Once we hit 80k subscribers, we'll be visiting Andorra and we'll be able to claim that we have actually surpassed the population in subscribers, so make sure to subscribe. Also, if you plan on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. You should also join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer slayers and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. Straight to the patch notes. Hello, today we are bringing you a Hypixel Skyblock update with an overhaul to how the museum rewards Skyblock XP, a slew of improvements to the annual Great Spook event and more. Museum overhaul. Since the museum's initial release, we've acknowledged that its progression lacked depth and didn't scale appropriately with the diverse range of items in the game. That's why we have reimagined the museum milestone system. This overhaul introduces a more dynamic and rewarding progression system that better reflects the value and rarity of the items you donate. Skyblock XP changes. Instead of each donated item giving the same amount of Skyblock XP, items will give differing amounts based on the stage of progression they are found in. Early game items such as Spider Sword won't be given as much Skyblock XP as your Hyperion. Now that to me is a W. That makes complete and utter sense, and that is a good change. Full stop. New rewards. Museum rewards are now earned for every 100 Skyblock XP worth of items you've donated. There are 30 milestones total, with each milestone giving plus 1% bits multiplier and 2% bank interest. Once again, pretty nice. Nothing really to worry about there at all. Additional rewards. Milestone 2, plus 100ml auction bid limit. Now this is the biggest problem. Let's see. So you get the 1 billion auction limit, which means that you're able to basically bid on items up to 1 billion coins. It's not just bid as in, you know, somebody's put an item up for bid without a buy it now price. This is any item. So if you want to buy any item of the auction house over 1 billion coins, then you need a certain milestone, which seems a bit silly to me, I'm not going to lie. You need milestone 12 to access items up to 5 billion coins, and milestone 13 to access items up to 15 billion coins. Now, realistically, these later milestones are not going to make a big difference to the majority of players, considering people are not going to be buying items off the auction house that are worth 15 billion coins. Maybe the 5 billion coins you could argue the same thing for, but the 1 billion coin auction house limit I just think is just not really needed. I don't think, if you want to implement something like this, start at 5 billion coins or start at even 10 and work upwards, because majority of people it's not going to affect them. But if you want those people who are going to be buying really expensive items to basically have the profile to back it up, then I understand. But I don't think this is necessary at all. Just because you've not donated items to the museum doesn't mean that you've not progressed to a certain level in the game where you should be buying items that are worth 1 billion coins or more. It doesn't scale correctly. Others added new fame ranks, which is decent. There's no arguments with that. Added new items to the museum. Good. Compacted the item law for donated museum items. Okay. Condensed the functions of Museum Curator Madame Eleanor. Fair enough. Made certain special items into normally donated items, such as the aspects of the Jerry. Fine. Added a toggle for viewing the extra statistics of a donated item, such as dates and values. That's a good change too. So majority of the changes are absolutely fine. They're actually quite good. The quality of life improvements, the things that needed to be changed regarding the museum. However, the biggest thing that most people have an issue with, and I also have an issue with, because I just don't see the need for having it, is of course the auction house situation. Just don't think it's right, and a lot of people will agree with me, maybe some people will disagree. There's also changes to the Great Spook, which is fair enough. It has only happened once before, and it only makes sense that they've improved it since last time, which is good. The Dark Candy Shop is replacing the previous milestone system that was in place for the Great Spook event. This allows players to pick what rewards they want and in what order, along with allowing players to re-earn items that were previously one-time claims. I don't particularly think that's a bad change at all. There's not really much to complain about. Looks like a few new things have been added too, such as a new mob essentially. Cool. And then we've also had a few changes to Bingo. There's not really any massive changes, to be honest. I guess this one could be pretty decent. Bingo's pet fast learner perk now affects Slayer XP. Fair enough. We've got miscellaneous changes. I think the one that's been talked about most is the fact that gold and diamond dungeon heads are now co-op soulbound rather than tradable, which I actually don't think is that bad of an idea, considering if you had a load of money and wanted to get into a certain floor of dungeons, you could go straight out of your way and buy a golden or diamond head. Now, of course, that's the same with a lot of other items, but it does carry you quite a lot. You can now also buy them from Rusty. Now, I know a lot of people were selling them because they heard that they were being soulbound, and then they can just buy them back for a fraction of the price from Rusty. If you've not done that, you've missed your chance at this point anyway. I mean, there is so many changes in this update. It's not just what you see on face value. There's even been changes to farming, also mining, and an absolute ton of miscellaneous fixes. Some of the main mining changes being fix an issue where the Soul Esser word will allow you to bypass Bel's invincibility frames, and also fixed the pickaxe ability cooldown reduction from Sky Mole not working on mining islands. And the main miscellaneous changes fix the shady accessory line not carrying over items, item upgrades from tier to tier, fix cat wiping pets that were sent to your stash, fix being able to get unreasonable scores in carnival minigames on slower servers, an absolute ton of other changes too. I'll leave the link to this thread in the description, so if you want to take a bit more of an in-depth look through all the other changes, then you can go ahead and take a look. Now, what I will say is that the fact that they're changing so many things at once is in a way good and also in a way bad. Now, the reason why I think it's good is because if there's this much that needs to be changed about the game and they're finally getting around to doing it, then how can that be a bad thing? At the same time, I would be interested to see what implications this has on how the game runs, if there's any bugs and so on, which I assume there probably has been already, and there will be more to discover. Changing so many things at once is always a bit of a risk in that sense. But if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. Now, as for the changes with the museum, as I kind of already talked about a little bit when this update was an alpha, I'm actually quite shocked that it actually got released, if I'm being completely honest, or at least in the way that it has. Obviously, the main thing that's affecting the majority of people and what people aren't happy about is obviously the milestones. Now, the rewards. I've donated a decent amount of stuff to the museum, and I cannot buy items above 1 billion coins. So you need museum milestone 14 for a 2 billion coin auction house limit. Now, let me just go through the items that I've donated. First of all, my Hyperion is soulbound. And I'll scroll through everything in case you want to slow it down and see. But I've donated quite a lot of items to the museum. I wouldn't say I've donated, obviously not a massive amount. There's still a lot that needs to be donated. But I know people who are a much higher Skyblock level than me who have not donated anywhere near as much stuff, which begs the question how this makes any sense at all. Now, the only thing I can, the only logical reason I can come up with is maybe the fact that they want everyone to donate stuff to the museum. But some people just simply don't want their items to be soulbound, even if they don't plan on selling them. It's the option to sell them. And having a high museum rank does not really reflect on how far you are progressed into the game. Now, sure, majority of people will be more progressed if they have a high museum rank, but that's not always the case. It's just not. And that's why I think the way it is right now is just not right. In my opinion, it's not right. What it's basically saying in real terms right now, if I want to buy a good Terminator, I can't afford one. Well, it's not that I can't afford one, I can't buy one off the AH. If I want to go and buy a Hyperion that's scrolled, I can't buy one. Now, I'm not a high Skyblock level by any means, but I'm not a low Skyblock level. I'm definitely at a point where it's acceptable to have a Hyperion. I think I'm like level 345. Now, of course, you can be level 460, 470 at this point. 345 is not a high level, but there's still people who are level like 100 running around with Hyperions. And I get the vision. Maybe Hypixel wants to stop things like this happening, right? Maybe they do. But for me, it just doesn't scale correctly at all. Now, I asked the question in my Discord server, what do people think of this new update? I outlined that the main changes are obviously the auction house limits on the museum. needing a certain museum milestone. And then also I mentioned that the golden and diamond heads are now soulbound. So this is what people have to say. Dumb. I'll update, to be honest. Everything other than dungeon heads is good. Fair enough. Like I said, some people will be fans of the update. I'm just not a fan. Bad plus revert now. Plus 1 vandal. AH Rex are too high. I'm nearly level 300 and I can't get anything over 200 mil. I agree. I think it's silly. Don't like it forces museum ranks. I agree. You know, if you don't want to donate to the museum, I don't feel like you should be forced to, whereas you kind of are at this point. Many people said they did not like it, and I personally think that the AH limit is stupid as it forces people to soon buy expensive items that they would have previously wanted to sell. I agree. Also, the other Halloween and other changes are just plain stupid. Yeah, maybe so, but I definitely agree with the AH limit. So binding diamond heads is the stupidest thing they could add. You see, I think there's mixed opinions from like players, because I think some people look at it as, well, if I'm already advanced in dungeons, then who really cares if it's soulbound or not, because I can simply just buy the head from Rusty if I really wanted to. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I sold my Sedan / Necron diamond head for 600 mil before the update to rebuy them from for 20 mil, so can't complain. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People have done that, and fair enough, why would you not? To be honest, the golden heads and diamond heads should not have been soulbound, because 1,000 runs of something without a certain armor piece is kind of weird. I guess this is also used to sort of limit new players and possibly IRL traders, but I think they should be less strict with them. Maybe it would make sense, you know, fair enough, you can go ahead and soulbound these diamond and golden heads, but make it so the requirement to actually get them in terms of the milestones and how many runs you have to do is less. Maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure. AH limit is so dumb. Me and my friend are level 158 and 108, and there's like a 200 mil AH limit. So dumb. Honestly, I think you are the target audience of Hypixel's change. Because if you could, you know, maybe they don't want lower level people being able to buy the more expensive items. Maybe that's just what it is. I don't agree with it. But I can kind of see why they've done it. But I don't think it's personally implemented well, because there's people that are like level 400 and are limited to how much they, you know, it's just silly. I think we need another mining update. Now, what I will say is I'm not a fan of this update, but this is not the solution. This is not the solution. We do not need another mining update. Please, please not another mining update. Look, I'm just being honest. That's what I think. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.